Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video with me, Shruti. You're watching Living Our Ascension. So today I'm in Pacifica, and it's just this really beautiful beach that's behind me and the ocean, and it's nice and quiet. There aren't too many people, so I thought it would be a great place to shoot. So today's video is an ascension update, and I'm speaking about how we are being asked to create something that is really pure, and how this is just becoming more and more present in our lives now. And that's why probably the title that I'm going to use for this video is New Humans as First Creators. And this first creator frequency has to do with like we say, prime creator, which is source, which is the source of all that is, the source of life, or the Godhead. And that's also referred to as prime creator or first creator. And so humans, new humans, humans that are going through their ascension process right now at this time, in the age of Aquarius, right at the onset of it. When we go through our ascension process, things keep landing in the physical, like they become more and more physical. So at first it begins with the more spiritual qualities that we start to open up, and then after that these qualities, they just manifest as a physical experience, just like living your life. It's not something that's only going on within you and at a higher level where your third eye is opening up and you're seeing beyond this realm. Rather, it becomes an experience of this realm, these higher things, and all the beautiful energy that you feel from other realms. It becomes manifest in this realm more and more. So with each passing day, with each year that we anchor our ascension more, that the human's potential to do this becomes grander in scope, we see more and more of it happening. And that's basically what I'm reporting about, what's going on. So at this time, what's happening is that we are being asked to, these grander life paths are opening up for us. And whether that's our work or whether that's in our relationships, it can be anything in life, but something grander is opening up. And we might not see it as grand, though, the first time that, it presents itself to us. And it can be something a bit challenging, and usually it is, because something that's grand, that is that's taking us at a level, at a frequency that beyond what we already hold in the body or what we are willing to accept. Usually it comes through first by penetrating a layer that we have that is of the old, that is shedding, that needs to go away. Doesn't mean it's something negative, but it's just something that's done, that we're done with. It was helpful before and now it just needs to go. So usually whenever something really grand lands, it has a sense of power that we have not yet fully seen and embraced within ourselves, and that's why it can feel a bit challenging when it comes. So look at this, where this is happening in your life. If you're on the path of ascension, definitely there are some grander life paths opening up for us now. We just had like a whole season of different eclipses as well, and they triggered these new life events in our life. So our lives have changed for this year, because eclipses usually bring something new for the rest of the year. And so definitely we've seen some changes, and with regards to that, now we're getting used to those changes, and we are being asked to step deeper into them, to make them more physical, to make them more a part of our lives. And when this happens, we need to accommodate, and we need to kind of be willing to surrender and accommodate, the new in our lives, in what we had declared to be our life so far, and make space for something new, whether that's people, whether that's the kind of work that we do. And all of it is changing, and we are just asked. But there's also a sense of hope and exhilaration because of this, because this new, it just comes as if like through a miracle in our lives. And at first we don't want to believe how good it is. Like, we have all of these inhibitions and fears about what it's asking us, but those fears really relate to what it's asking us to create in the physical, the space that we need to create for it, rather than it being something bad, because we can hold these frequencies of that if something is very good, it's too good to be true, and it's just bad for us. So that is something that, pay attention to that. See where life is asking you to open up these grander life paths in your life, and be willing to surrender, not compromise on your values, but to make space where it's possible. Because in the beginning stages, there's usually like a hashing out process that happens. There's something new that's entering your life. You've had your life in a certain way, and there's just this, it needs to fall into place properly. And before that happens, we need to be more accommodating to see how, to allow it to fully fit in the way that it should, so that it becomes truly complementary and, supports what we were already doing, but also brings in something new. And so there's this back and forth. And so things that we didn't plan for, like I said, but feel right. This is how you know that, something new is landing and something grander than you. This also, of course, always has to do with this, service, our service on the planet, and our frequency of service. It's not going to be something that serves only us. So usually, whenever there's a service frequency as well, it can feel a little bit challenging. So we may feel like we're starting from scratch all over again in our lives, and in certain aspects of our lives especially. But the thing about it is that it can feel like it's like we're having to make big sacrifices for something that's very small, but when it feels right, and when it's grander than you, that the purpose of it is grander than you, then how things work, with the new, is that their importance lies in the light packets that they carry. So it's this internal energy. It's like, this supernova that bursts, and it carries that amount of energy within it. So it might be a small particle or just a small thing in your life that's introduced, but it's very potent, and it's like full of potential, and it unravels when we allow it, when we allow it to like germinate, and we allow it to grow, and we nurture it. That's when it really reveals its true colors. So what we are being handed is these seeds basically right now, and we need to see them for what they are, because it's very easy to just look at something that's good in our lives and just discard it and not see it, in the full potential that it can blossom. So that's why this message is coming out to all of you today, because pay attention to that, where that's happening in your life, these little miracles that you're experiencing. Even if you have to make some changes and it feels like starting from scratch all over again, just allow, give it a chance. And again, we never need to compromise on our values for anything, but just to accommodate. And once we know the difference, once we know our own boundaries, and we know what we need and what our desires are, clearly, then we just need to make sure that that is being fulfilled. And at the same time, we are also allowing that new space as well. So usually when we are confused, it's because we don't know what our boundaries are, we don't know what our needs are, and there's just a whole lot of confusion. So spend some time within yourself, knowing the distinction, what things that you don't need to compromise on, what your values are, and always sticking to them, but at the same time being accommodating. So not compromising, but being accommodating. So this is really important at the moment. So with regards to this, what these new life paths are for us, and new life directions, there's lots of messages that are coming through other people, and especially like other people in your life who are pure ones, who are aligned with these new frequencies. So usually, for example, in my life, I get a lot of messages just on my own. They come through life in different ways, and it's not always, very rarely is it through other people, but I'm really observing that now, how that's happening. So pay attention to that as well. If that is something you notice, then these are definitely messages that are coming through for you, especially if it's repeating, the same message is repeated by several people. Then for sure that life is trying to, the universe is trying to convey a message to you, and that's the way of the now. So the next thing I want to speak about is, lately many people have been asking me about divine will versus personal will, because when you speak about divine will with others, sometimes they have a reaction, that they think that their first reaction is, but if divine will exists and all is kind of preordained in a sense, then it means that I don't have any personal choices, that I can't do what I want, and nothing, everything is already decided for me. And it's not that restrictive, at a higher level, when we truly understand what divine will is, and that it's actually the same as our personal will. When we surrender to it, it becomes one. There's no difference between the two. And how that happens is that I want to give you the example of this wave, since we are at the ocean, and usually there's a lot of surfers that are here, but today it's kind of flat, so there aren't as many. But a friend of mine, they surf, and they were speaking to me about how these waves, they just throw you down, when you're on the wave, and it just throws you down, and you feel like you're in a washing machine. And I even made a post about this, about the waves, on my Instagram and Facebook, so you can check it out if you haven't. But my friend was speaking about how it just tumbles you, and sometimes you don't know whether whether the right way is up or down, which way is which, because you're just being tumbled, and you just have to kind of wait it out for the water to do its thing, and that process to complete. And life is like that. And when we speak of divine will versus personal will, I want to use this example to explain it. And the larger wave, what we feel from creation, that is something that is larger than us. It's this larger wave. So even the human mind, whatever you can conceive, the highest idea that you can think of, the most revolutionary idea, people think, oh, I have the most unique idea. And yeah, you might, but all of us have that special gift, that we are endowed with these special, unique ideas. But whatever you can think of, the highest, the most bizarre thing you can think of, is still contained within your higher self, your greater self. So because we are part of something greater, so the highest that we can think, this will that the choices that we want to make, can only be presented to us within something that is larger than us, because we are the thing that is smaller than it. So even the choices, all of the ideas are contained within that larger thing, are contained within divine will. So divine will is really just our highest choice in the now. The choice that will lead to the most fulfilling choice, the one that is free of this idea of suffering, which is something that we just create for ourselves. And so of course we can make any choice that we want, in any given moment, but there's this wave that is greater than us. So you're inside the wave is going to do its thing while you're within it. You're within it, and that's it. But what you can still make a choice as to you still have to do something. So within that moment, the best path, this is why we suggest that the best way is to surrender to it, because if you just make your body tight, then the water becomes more dangerous, in fact. And even with rip tides, for example, that just take you out into the ocean suddenly, and they kind of just pull you out. And the best way that they suggest is just to surrender, because ultimately the wave will throw you back in, towards the shore. And so it's up to us whether we want to experience something that is turbulent, or we just want to surrender within trust. And that is what life is. Life for the new human, it's all about this trust of the feminine, of whatever's happening. And once we really understand that within ourselves, we can live a life that is free of this suffering, and where the choices that we make feel like they were made for us. This is when divine will becomes one with personal will. You don't feel that anything that's happening in life, even if it's so-called negative in the moment, is wrong or is unfair. You just embrace the moment as it is, and it takes you where you need to go. Some parts are going to be a bit uncomfortable. That's because we're not used to we often don't like change, because we want security. But that change that tumbles us, there's a reason why surfers come into the rough ocean, and they want to experience this, something larger than themselves, become one with it. So it's the same feeling that we're all going for, the same thing that we're all after, which is life. To experience ourselves as life as intimately as possible, whether that's through these nature experiences, whether that's through intimacy with another, through sexual union, whether it's creating things in the world, through our creativity, whatever your passion is. It's the same thing, we all just want to intimately know ourselves as life. So while we are within a new wave, something that is greater than us, and we can feel that wave wanting to create from within us something something that is larger than us, which is what's happening more and more now. We are becoming these creator gods, on earth, and really experiencing ourselves as it. Like all of these things that seem impossible, and it feels like we have been given very little tools, like the thing that we can work with in the now to create that grand vision is like this little, and it feels like, how will it ever come to be? I know how things work in the physical, like they take time, they're slow. So how is this little seed going to help me? But like I explained before, every seed has this infinite potential within it. It's bursting with life. It's like a supernova. So we have to just accept it in the moment, and not push it away. And this is new, like this is how we are becoming new humans and new creator gods on the planet. We work like prime creator. We work with a simple small essence that's just very simple, but we know and we trust within it that this is what we need to work with, and then it just bursts with life. It creates in different phases that it travels to, it gives birth to like new life and new branches and things like that. So this creator God potential is opening up within us, and you can think of yourself, like if you want to manifest the highest potential within it, then think of what source means to you, what prime creator does, and really contemplate that within you, because it's not really something that anybody else can tell us, but that the source of all that is, through which everything is birthed within creation. What does it do? How does it create? And does it know any limits? And we were created in like they say, the image and likeness of prime creator. So and that potential is really landing now. So that potential is really expanding in the physical now. And another thing that I wanted to say is that we're feeling a speeding up going on, and this is a speeding up, like life is hurrying up. There's like a just a speed with everything, like everything's happening very fast, and there's new schedules that perhaps that we need to create, and we need to accommodate more of the new within our schedule and have more time for that. We're working more with the new because there is more new here to work with. So like in previous years, for example, when ascension, because like I've explained, ascension becomes more and more physical with every year, and perhaps in previous years, we were working more with ourselves, and in order to it had more to do with our spiritual qualities and anchoring those spiritual qualities within the physical body. So the work of merging higher to lower had more to do just with ourselves. Those higher qualities, bring them in the physical body and become this, fully receptive being that just basically receives from source. And now that potential is expanding in the physical. Like maybe there's been enough light that's been anchored by people in order to do that, and anybody who's awakening to that, because obviously there's only a few people really, when you look at mass consciousness, who have done this, but they've created certain pathways for that to happen, and it's more easily accessible then to others who choose it at any point, because these physical pathways have been created. And that's why the people going through the ascension process first it's more challenging for them. There's more sort of hurdles, you can say, but you also have more you also have this potential to become fully empowered, because imagine when you go through all of that and you come out of it, then you have the know-how, and it's just like once you've been through that, life is so beautiful and everything flows easy. But like I was saying, we're feeling this speeding up that's happening, and there's more new here to work with. And in previous years, like we did that work mostly alone, and mostly the messages and everything that we were getting, the qualities, the spiritual qualities of ourselves that we were seeing, what needed to be anchored, we were seeing as reflections in nature. Like maybe you spent a lot of time in nature, you went out there, and things were reflected to you, as because nature reflects in a pure way. And perhaps you even actively stayed away from people because they were draining, and you weren't getting, there wasn't enough purity in the masses, in other people. But now what we are seeing is that there's more in the external as well that is pure. And that's why I said that we're getting a lot of messages from other people, other pure ones that are divine, that are coming from the universe. So they are becoming the medium for that. So it's not only nature, it's also we're finding more people in our lives like that as well, who are functioning at that frequency. And also in our work as well, through our acquaintances and what we are required to do. So there's more new that is just here now. We're not spending as much time just by ourselves and working with inner essences. It's becoming more physical. Now we know what our spiritual qualities are, or at least that's the highest potential that the humans going through their ascension first, the first waves of ascension, what they have created. So now, the new potential is about creation in the physical, and through the expansion of these roles that we are playing, as whatever our service and mission is. And of course our mission and service also is not just one thing. It might primarily be one thing, it might look like one thing. For example, I'm an ascension guide, but it'll keep changing, and when you are open, you won't hold on to the fact that, oh, I know myself as this and this is how I will always do things. No, you flow with the now, and that is where the most fulfillment, the most rewards in the physical and all of it comes in, is when you know how to flow. Just like the example of the wave I just gave you, when you surrender to it, it leads to the most fulfilling results, and that intimacy with something that is greater than you. So in this way, this is how we are becoming these creator gods on the planet, which is what our highest potential is as humans. It's really exciting. We're not just here to come here and suffer and live our life, or just do some work and then die and wither away. No, we are here to create. We are multi-dimensional beings, and all of these qualities that we have at a higher level, and all of these it's like whatever is ideas come from Prime Creator that the universe has for us. They can be received by us directly when we are in our highest potential. And it's kind of like we're working from those realms at the very forefront of creation and the creation plan in each moment. And when it's received, then at the very most physical level, the third dimensional level, everything is so dense here. We are taking that highest light that's possible and creating something that is physical. So it's something really beautiful. It encompasses all of the dimensions, and that is what the human being is. There was a lot coming through these days about the tree of life. Even this portrait that I drew, soul portrait of someone that I drew, had the tree of life symbol in it. And that's what the tree of life is, that we are like a tree, we have many branches, and so that means that the whole of us, the totality, the grand self is connected at the highest level, to these higher aspects. And at the same time, there's these hands in these different dimensions because we are multidimensional beings. So all of these talents, we gather from it as we need, whatever is needed, and whatever is needed for service from that level. And then we create it in the physical, we live it in the physical. And living in the physical that way is so much more joyful, so much more fulfilling, because humans, they go around, walking around feeling incomplete and doing things to try and fill that emptiness. And this is why they experience anything negative. Otherwise nothing negative needs to be experienced, because all is life. So when we know ourselves as these multidimensional beings, having access to whatever we need and being able to live that in the physical, and just be this all-powerful, self-creative and self-supportive, through self-supported but supported by all of life within the self. When you know yourself as that, there is no suffering really. You will have periods because you know, we're all human and we go through the different emotions and things like that, but there'll be nothing within your body that is there as like a something permanent, you know. It just flows and shows you something for the moment that you need to embrace, and that triggers a new cycle. That's it. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful. You know, sometimes these concepts are hard to describe, but I hope that I did it in a way that brings you into the recognition of what is landing now, and this just great amazing potential that we have as co-creators on New Earth. You know, just like Prime Creator, we have the ability to be this powerful creator and just create anything we want. So pay attention to those seedlings that are landing, and this whole process I explained about surrendering, about you know, just going with the flow and allowing that greater wave to show you what you are, the greatness of what you are, and how much of a larger being you are than you imagine yourself to be. So this is the most important thing at this moment. If you're watching this video now, you know, to know this, because something greater will be revealed, but first we need to recognize the seedlings that are here. So that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to see the personal services that I have, then you can find me at www.livingourascension.com, which is the same name as this channel. You can find the link to this website below in the description below this video, where I also have my blog as well, you know, where I post other things that perhaps you don't see here in video. So check all of that out, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.